I had always believed in the quiet sanctity of my marriage, the kind that didn't require fireworks or grand gestures to prove itself. Our life together felt steady, predictable in the way that makes people admire stability without realizing it can be fragile. I thought I knew every contour of her heart, every nuance of her laugh, every shadow of her sadness. Until that night. Started innocuously. I had stayed late at work, longer than usual, buried in reports that didn't seem to matter even as deadlines pressed down on me. I remember walking up the steps to our apartment, tired, shoulders stiff, a dull ache radiating from my lower back. The hallway was quiet except for the faint hum of laughter spilling from the apartment across the hall. I didn't notice at first. I was too preoccupied imagining the cup of tea I would finally have in my own kitchen. The sound of voices drew me closer. Laughter, giggles, the sharp edge of sarcasm, and then her voice. My wife, Emma. I froze in the hallway, the key still in my hand. First it sounded casual, like friendly. But there was an unfamiliar tone, a teasing sharpness, almost cruel, that made my chest tighten. And he actually believes I like spending time with him all the time, she said, her laughter tinkling with mockery. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's fine. He's sweet. But sometimes, I can't help rolling my eyes. I felt my stomach knot, my palms growing damp. I didn't move. Couldn't. Her words sliced through the fabric of everything I thought I knew about us. Her friends laughed, a sound that seemed suddenly invasive in my ears. Oh, come on, he's adorable when he tries, one of them said. But you could tell him the truth, Emma. Emma's laugh was soft, condescending. The truth. Honestly, some things are better left unsaid. He's so oblivious sometimes. I swear if he knew half of what I really think. And that was enough. My heart slammed against my ribs like it wanted to escape. I wanted to bolt, to run, to scream at her. But instead I listened. I needed to. I needed to understand how long this had been going on. Her voice softened, but only slightly. I mean, I married him, so obviously there's love. But perfect? That's a joke. He's sweet, don't get me wrong. But sometimes I wonder if he even notices me anymore. If he sees me. Or just, what he wants me to be. I remember the floor beneath me felt like it had disappeared. I gripped the key until my knuckles whitened. For a long moment I didn't breathe. Just listened. Every word was a hammer against the walls of my reality. I didn't knock. I didn't announce myself. I stood there broken as Emma's laughter echoed through the thin apartment walls. When they finally left, her voice faded, replaced by silence. I retreated to my own apartment, the lock clicking behind me, feeling suddenly inadequate. That night I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, watching the shadows shift with the streetlights outside our window. I kept replaying the words she had said, the casual cruelty hidden beneath laughter. Oblivious. Better left unsaid. Joke. I wanted to confront her, but I didn't know if I wanted answers or revenge, or if I was even capable of facing the truth that I might not recognize the woman I married anymore. Days passed, and I carried a silent storm inside me. I noticed little things I had ignored before. The way she rolled her eyes when I spoke, the subtle sighs, the distant looks in her eyes when I tried to make her laugh. I tried to talk to her gently about growing apart, about connection. She smiled, reassured me with a touch on my arm, but the emptiness behind her eyes was impossible to ignore. One evening I followed her. I told myself it was curiosity, a desperate need to understand what I had missed. She met with the same group of friends at a small cafe across town. I stayed in the shadows, watching. And again I overheard her words. You know, I try to be kind, but sometimes I can't even stand him, she said. Her voice was lower this time, more intimate with her friends, the laughter replaced by whispers. I married him because I thought it was the right thing, but it's exhausting pretending to be happy. My chest tightened so violently I thought I might pass out. Every plan, every memory of laughter and shared mornings, felt tainted. I couldn't believe it. The woman I had trusted completely had been telling everyone that our marriage, my love, my dedication, was nothing more than a performance. I remember walking home that night, the city lights blurring, tears hot against my cheeks. When I reached our door, I didn't knock. I went straight to the kitchen, opened the wine, and poured 2 glasses. I sat in silence, waiting. She came home later, humming softly, oblivious to the storm brewing in me. She noticed the wine but not the tension in my shoulders. "Rough day at work?" she asked, leaning against the doorway, her smile bright and innocent. I raised my glass, my hand trembling. "Emma, we need to talk." Her smile faltered slightly. "About what?" "About us. About everything." I told her what I had heard, every word, every laugh, every cruel, dismissive comment. I watched her face shift. First surprise, then guilt, then a carefully practiced mask of defensiveness. "It's not what you think," she said. Her voice cracked. "I was joking. You know me. I joke about everything. You're taking this too seriously." I shook my head. "Joking? You told your friends you can't stand me, that you only married me because it was the right thing, that our marriage is exhausting. Joking. You laughed about me behind my back." Her eyes filled with tears, but they weren't remorseful. They were the kind of tears you cry when caught, when trapped, when you know you've been found out. I didn't mean it like that." "I didn't. You didn't mean it like that," I repeated, voice tight. "Emma, these aren't casual complaints. These are your thoughts about me, about us, shared as if they're jokes. But they're not. They're real." She looked away, biting her lip, trying to form the words that wouldn't come. For the first time, the person I had loved so completely seemed like a stranger. "I thought you'd understand me," I whispered, the pain in my chest threatening to consume me. "I thought we were perfect together. Believed in us. And all this time, you were laughing at me behind my back." The silence stretched. Then finally she spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. I don't know what I want anymore. I thought I loved you, but maybe I just loved the idea of us. The life we were supposed to have. Not the life we actually have." Her honesty cut deeper than any lie could. 'Cause now there was no ambiguity. No excuse. She didn't want me. She didn't love me the way I loved her. And she had never tried to hide that from anyone but me. I stood there, shaking, feeling the last threads of my trust unravel. "So what do we do now?" She shrugged, the weight of indifference in that motion heavier than a brick. "I don't know. Maybe we drift apart. Or maybe we keep pretending." I looked at her, the woman who had been my world, my home, my everything, and felt a hollow emptiness where my heart had been. For a long moment I didn't speak. I just let the silence settle between us, thick and suffocating. Finally I turned away. I walked to the bedroom, grabbed a bag, and started packing. She watched, stunned, unable to find words. "I can't live like this," I said simply. "I can't love someone who doesn't love me back. I can't pretend anymore." She tried to speak, to reach for me, but I was already gone. The bag was heavy, but the weight of leaving was lighter than the burden of staying. When I closed the door behind me, I felt both grief and relief. Grief for the marriage I had believed in. Relief for the truth finally revealed. The life we had built together wasn't perfect. It had never been. And now, finally, I could start to reclaim myself. I didn't know what the future held. Maybe she would regret her words. Maybe she wouldn't. Maybe we would meet again under different circumstances. Or maybe this was the end. But for the first time in a long time, I felt free to breathe. Free to imagine a life where my love wasn't mocked, where my heart wasn't a punchline. I walked down the street, the city lights flickering like tiny promises of hope. Each step away from her apartment, each block I put between us, felt like a small victory, a reclamation of dignity I hadn't realized I had lost. I had truly believed my marriage was perfect. But perfect, I realized, isn't about laughter or shared mornings or the comfort of routine. Perfect is mutual respect. Perfect is trust. And without those, even the most beautiful love can crumble into ashes. As I hailed a taxi, I felt a strange sense of closure. The tears still lingered, but they weren't just for loss. They were for the courage it took to leave, for the strength to walk away from something that was never real, no matter how much I wanted it to be. And somewhere deep in me, I knew I would survive. I would heal. I would learn to love again. But it would never, ever be with someone who could laugh at my heart as if it were a joke. The taxi pulled away, and I watched the apartment disappear behind me, a silent testament to the life I once believed in, and the life I was finally ready to find on my own.